How's it going, Kyle?
It's going splendidly.
Excited to have you here at JobTread in Dallas, Texas with us.
Yes, indeed. It was 75 degrees in Michigan. It's approximately 90, whatever, 96 degrees down here, but I'm loving it.
You're surviving?
I'm surviving.
Did you shed any extra weight that you were trying to?
I sweat easily. When I was doing the team meeting earlier, I got a little warm, but I'm under control now.
Awesome, man. So again, we're really excited to have you joining us today. You did an awesome presentation to the team. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I was coming down here for a mastermind group for myself. There's 3 gentlemen. We've been doing a mastermind group for a number of years. One note on that, I think as a business owner, even for you, I don't know if there's mastermind groups for wonderfully growing software companies, but I bet there is. There's something to be said for spending time in a peer group, in a mastermind with people going through the same thing as you. So after we get done recording here, I get to go, and have a nice dinner tonight and spend the next day and a half with these 3 colleagues of mine. So super looking forward to that. And I thought, hey, I'm going to move my flight up, spend a little bit of time with JobTread. So did a think tank with Anna earlier. If anybody, I am allowed to break the 4th wall, asking our videographer, anybody, if you see the think tanks, attend those, all kinds of good ideas. Back to Eric. So you guys mentioned, hey, why don't you spend 20, 25 minutes just talking to the team, and you set it up in a way that was kind of a little bit more share about myself and my business and the type of clients we work with, and I kind of pivoted from that. As I was thinking about it on the way down here, I thought, I don't think they just want to hear about me, myself, and I. And I was just thinking about all of your client success folks, your marketing people, your sales folks, and everybody else that makes up your awesome team. And just thought through what would be of value and what would help them. And as I was thinking about that, I thought through, we covered 10 of them, just 10 ways to enhance the value that you guys can offer your JobTread remodeling clients. And we rapid fired through them, but it was good.
No, it was awesome. I mean, I think, we've had countless partners that have come in, and, we like to invite our partners to come and address the team, get to meet them, kind of share a little bit more about them and what they do. But, your approach was incredible. Like you had them all captivated, very entertained, gave us a lot of great feedback and takeaways, actionable takeaways that we can implement to continue, doing the best that we can possibly do to help our customers, get up and running.
Yeah, we're kind of chatting through it. You want me to share a few?
Yeah.
I'm not running this interview. You're professionally running it. You're doing a wonderful job. But a couple of them, I think I think this applies to if you're a remodeler listening to this, a contractor listening to this. The umbrella over kind of what I was thinking, and I think would be helpful for the people listening to this, is we can put more and more focus on delivering a remarkable experience. We do a lot of times maybe some of the basics when it comes to communication, when it comes to scheduling, but there's another level and another level and another level of really enhancing the experience we give our clients. So when I was talking to the JobTread team itself, I was thinking through, all right, one example that I hear from my clients that's super helpful about JobTread is related to daily logs. So yes, people may call you, you may talk to people about how to do it, but maybe proactively ask your clients, how are you doing with daily logs? Is it helpful for you? Is your team really embracing them? If not, here's some ideas on maybe how some of our other clients have gotten more buy-in when it comes to daily logs. So that's kind of one example of kind of the way I was going to get them to be more proactive.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt your presentation, but I have my own real world daily log story because I was the end user for my pool build. So we had a JobTread contractor. They came and they built my pool towards the end of last year. And so they started off not sharing the daily logs with me. I was like, hey guys, it'd be awesome if you'd be willing to share the daily logs that I assume you're doing. They're like, yeah, of course we are. But they had not ever thought to share those with the client. And man, I got to tell you, as soon as they did that, the experience for my wife and I completely changed. We felt like we were part of the process, and we were on this journey now more than we'd ever been, because we got to see all of the activity, everything that was occurring. It's one thing to kind of look at a schedule and see, things are being checked off, or, we're making some progress just, in a Gantt chart view. But man, when we got to see the photos of everything happening every day, and even the days when things didn't happen, we knew that, hey, they still came out, they're waiting on this, or hey, we're not going to be there, the next couple days, or like those updates too were also really insightful for us, and it led us again to just trust more in the process. We felt like there was a lot more transparency when it was happening,
Yep.
and overall, I mean, it really did elevate the whole client
Yeah.
experience for us.
You got the client experience, and then from the business owner, the project manager, there's a lot of conversation and frankly, time wasted of, all right, so what did you get done today? At the end of the day, when you need to be planning for the next day or even just wrapping up, for a business owner, for a project manager, for a production manager to go in and be able to review that and see it quickly, that turns 15, 18 minutes of haphazard phone calling into a 3-minute review. And that helps save our time. That helps with work-life balance. That helps us do other things. I also, based on your story there, I thought it was kind of humorous because you're like, are you doing daily logs? Somehow, I bet you would still be able to have access to those daily logs if you really wanted to see it as the owner of JobTread, but I'm sure you wouldn't have done that.
If there was a need from a support perspective,
I would have been able
yeah,
to log
yeah.
in.
But I think it's interesting. So again, you've coached hundreds of businesses. Why do you think they don't always implement that? Why do you hear what are the reasons that they're giving you that they're not using daily logs?
I would say, you could go daily logs, you could go scheduling, you could go to-do lists, you could go job costing, some of these other areas that we discussed. Why are they not utilizing it? Because when you step back from it and say, hey, remodeler who signed up for JobTread, it has this feature. And here's what it does. How does that sound to you? They would say,
Love it.
sounds amazing. Hey, here's how we track our time. Here's how we do this. As far as implementation goes, I would say some of it may be I'm unclear with how to do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a lame excuse because I see a team back there that can help with that, let alone great support. The reason is we've got a lot of things on our to-do list.
Yeah.
I've been in business 17 years. I thought surely by now I would get to the end of my to-do list. I haven't even come close to seeing it. There's an endless amount of things to do.
Yeah.
And I think what we really need to do from contractors, remodelers who are trying to implement a software like JobTread is break it out into a little more bite-sized chunks. Do not tire of sounding like a broken record with your team. Be consistent with that. If you let them not do daily logs and you sit there and talk to your office team, well, so and so didn't do it, they're not gonna get it. So being consistent with asking for it. And then somebody asked during the conversation of like, if they're not doing it, like how do you get them to do it? And one thing that I found is the what to do is an aspect of it. Here's I apologize. What to do. Here's where to go. Click here, click there. When people aren't doing it, lay off the what and lean much more into the why. And don't answer it for them. Hey, Eric, our lead carpenter who's being a knucklehead and not doing his daily logs, why do you think this is important? Get them to engage in it. Because when they do, they'll realize, oh, it helps with communication. It helps with client experience. It gives us a track record that we go back to. It helps us create our next to-dos. Like there's so many reasons. So anytime somebody's not doing the thing, really double down on the why is the thing.
Well, I also really loved how you talked about, the importance of, maybe scheduling a few of those future meetings out, like every, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or once a month, like whatever it is, having that schedule already in place really lends well to also driving accountability. And so for each of the, for the next meeting, they know what they need to have come, what their homework was, like making sure that their team is dedicating the time. And then again, we can help them pull together. Let's all meet with the customer success manager.
Yes.
I know some clients come in and do that, but like, I think it's good advice that, our team needs to encourage that even more so that we can make sure that we're doing the best that we can to help hold people accountable and get them to implement because, again, it's easy to get busy, right? And there's always something that comes up, but we've seen the impact that JobTread can make on the business. We just got to get them implemented and get them to the point where they can start to realize those benefits.
If you're a remodeler listening to this, you're going, yeah, there's so much more I need to implement. Number one, I didn't hear any of your client success managers, customer success managers, crying uncle back there. I bet you if you said, hey, this was a wonderful meeting. That gave me more clarity on this. Could we set a meeting for 3 weeks from now and just have it on the books? I bet you your team would say yes to that.
Absolutely.
Right? So there's that from a resource with JobTread. And then what I see often with a lack of implementation inside a company is we get all excited, we do it, and we forget to, like you're saying, book the next meeting.
Yeah.
All right, when do we got some action steps here? Eric, you're going to do this. Kyle, you're going to do that. Let's book a meeting 2 weeks out and let's go through this plus dig into that other feature.
Yeah.
If we're booking consistent meetings, good things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you've noted, our team has continued to grow. And so, I think it was really helpful for us to hear from your perspective too. Like I think there's more that we can do on the implementation and on that onboarding to help make sure that we are continuing to provide, great insight, great resources, tips, access to all the trainings, everything that it's already there. But, looking at creating more of kind of these automated engagement, programs where we can be continually sending them that information, especially in those first, 2, 3 months. That's the most important time where they really need to dive in, buckle down and get these things implemented. And so I think what we're going to do, is again, take your advice, let's stay front and center, keep kind of getting in front of them. I liked your analogy of, the client, the homeowner never has told the contractor, hey, you're over communicating, quit telling me so much. I don't need all these resources. No, it's welcomed by the client, and we want to be that resource. We've always kind of wanted to, we don't want to be too pushy. We're not trying to hound you and badger you to the point where you're like, man, I'm annoyed. But we want to make sure that we are there and that we're getting you the right information at the right time. Because we've invested a lot of resources building out all of our training resources, the help desk, the videos, and we realize that it's a process that you have to go through, and you do have to prioritize what you're going to focus on and at each step of the way. But I think,
I think the next, I'm always looking for next right thing. Before I leave in a little bit, we'll do like a huddle with the team, and I'll say, look, we've got to build out that onboarding and some of that. I think you guys should call every one of your clients, and they could just work. We can order dinner tonight, and they can just work till like midnight, and we can just kick this off tonight.
well, I'll be working till midnight, so your company should buy you dinner.
You need to stop working till midnight, mister.
Yeah, I know. I think as just a natural born entrepreneur, I'm very driven. I'm passionate. It's not that I want to deprive myself of sleep, but again, every client that we help, it really does. That's the thing that drives me and our team is just we see the impact that we're making every day, and so I think it's just it's so awesome. I mean, to have our partners like you come in, spend the afternoon sharing from your perspective, what we're doing, what you see is working well, what you see we could do better, how we can continue to drive innovation and provide, even better service. We are always striving to be the best. I don't necessarily believe in perfection. I think it's something you're always working towards, but it's also important that I think everyone understands, you can always do better. You can always look for ways to continue, to elevate your game, to step up, to do more, to get more efficient, to be more effective, whatever it may be. And so I just, again, I appreciate having partners like you who you're out, doing the same thing. You're practicing what you're preaching. You're helping, contractors just like we are. I think it's such a nice, kind of symbiotic relationship here though, where, we can provide the tools and the training on how to use JobTread and how to do your estimating, project management, things like that. But so often we see contractors who they don't know what they don't know. They need somebody to help kind of show them the way, give them some more leadership guidance, hold them accountable.
Yeah, we talked earlier about making sure. I think sometimes we just are taking on too many things at once. So narrowing it down. But you were talking about the continual improvement. One of my clients, Brett elects an Oddfellows contract. He's up in Michigan. He said, I heard this one, Kyle. I went into my office and we had a full team meeting and put this one in your back pocket and use it. He goes, all right, show of hands, who here has reached their full potential? And he kind of smirks a little bit. Because when you ask that question, you're like, well, if I raise my hand, that's kind of lame. Really? Am I saying that? Now, if you're 99 years old, you're kind of getting near your last breath, maybe you'd be like, you know what? I think I have. But for a lot of us, that mentality of, yes, there's always things to improve and to tweak. And I think the key is there's a million things. Pick one. Pick one. What is the next right thing? What is the next right step? That's how we really make progress. And I think sometimes we're like, ooh, that. And we get things halfway done, 20% done, instead of one thing 100% done.
It's interesting when I can't remember, I think it was one of your 10 points, was talking about how you really see, obviously the easy win, the first win is often with estimating, but you see one of the most important, biggest ROIs is when you can get into the job costing. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I would say job costing is one of my favorite topics. I mean, I'm coached for years and years, and when I say, "Hey, let's just start out simple. On this kitchen project, what is your expected cost on this project?" And then just let them figure that out. And you're selling it for what? Okay, cool. So that selling price minus the cost, you're expecting a gross profit of this amount. Now, some people go, "Wait, gross profit? Is that net profit?" No, no, no. Slow down. Gross profit. Overhead expenses come out, net profit's down there. And then I say, all right, for that project, you might have to hack this together. You might not have this set up, but what is your actual cost for that project you just got done? And if when somebody's not paying attention to that and they start digging in and paying attention to that, and you can show me your expected cost versus your actual, and then we get a little more granular and we go, okay, for the demo phase, how much were you expecting your costs to be and how much was the actual? Oh, it went $500 over. You had $500 of what? Slippage, we call it. Well, why was that? Was it because the team was slow and you're got a bunch of slow pokes out there? How was your estimate? Were you kind of estimating that based on if you did it and you were hustling faster? Did something come up where we may have added to the scope? Job costing, when we watch it just on a job by job basis, it has this positive ripple effect in making us better salespeople because we know we need to sell things at a certain amount. It makes us better estimators tremendously. It makes us better project managers because we see, okay, this number is legit. Like we need to hit this, or we've got some slippage. We need to right the ship here as the project goes. It ripples into so many different things. When we are trying for, let's say, a 34% margin, and I look at your totality of your work, and you're down at a 29% margin, we've got 5% of slippage, and a $2 million business. That's $100,000. Did I do that right?
I wouldn't.
I'm pretty sure. $100,000. Check the math, video man. I didn't catch your name on the way in. I forgot it. Nolan. Nolan, check the math on that and adjust it, use AI or something. But that 5% in that case is $100,000 of slippage. And sometimes we do that calculation and we're like, oh, because you didn't get a fixed price from the plumber and it went over $600, because you weren't specific with the fact that you were doing straight tile and they want to do something that took you 10 more hours. All of it starts to add up. So that's why job costing is usually where I start with clients. And if we can really get our job costing going, and I go into Dan Ford Customer Innovations, shout out Dan. He's a JobTread user, and you log into his JobTread and you say, Dan, pull up your current project real time. I've got all my hours in there. I see my actual cost, my full employee labor burden. I see it talking with QuickBooks, online, of course. Do you love QuickBooks Desktop and JobTread?
Oh man.
All right, don't get started. Another podcast. But I can go in there and you can see it in real time. And that is such a competitive advantage and frankly, just a way that he continues to enhance his profitability. If that's messy for you, prioritize that. There's just huge ROI.
I think what we need to do is get Dan and some of these others who have, they've already gone through, all the steps that they need to do to get JobTread implemented, to get to the point where they can do this real-time job costing. Maybe we can get them, to come on. Let's do a webinar. Let's really showcase and highlight, what does it look like on the other side? Because I think a lot of times people they struggle to see the forest from the trees, and like all they see is this mountain of work in front of them, and it just, again, it's all mindset, right? It's all perspective. Like, is this going to be like just all this effort and what am I going to get out of it? Or is this like, man, all we got to do are these three things. And then bam, like we're going to have this like real-time job costing system. I think we ought to really focus on trying to make sure that we're showcasing, what does it look like to be a successful builder? What does it look like to have your systems dialed in, to know your numbers, and then when a situation comes up, like how quickly can you recognize that and can you course correct to not let it send the project off the rails? Like, I think that's the real value. It takes some time to get there. Maybe we can, again, collaborate to come up with a better, way to just help people see that end game.
Yes.
More than, hey, here's some software, here's some process.
That's kind of what it can do, like really tell the story.
Yeah.
I think it helps, like when you get specific with that, of going, all right, Dan, you got a lot of different things. Just show your job costing now. Tell us about the before and what's been the impact. And if people can watch that and say, oh man, if I had that dialed in like that, I can see how that would help me in so many ways. That would be the key.
Not to give like a shameless plug for both of our upcoming events, but like, I think that really is some of the value of taking a couple days out of the office, traveling to, where there's a community of people that are gathering,
Yep.
for educational purposes, for networking purposes. Like that's where you can really like, learn from others. And when you and I can, sort of elevate those people and put them on the stage and help them
Yep.
to share and to inspire and motivate others, I think that's how we can elevate the community as a whole.
Yep.
There are so many, contractors out there that just, they don't understand that, like, you can't, being the low cost provider and just cutting corners and selling, as many jobs as you can when you're not making any money, like that's not doing you a service. It's not helping
It's
the
miserable.
homeowner. It's just bringing the entire industry down. Like we need to help everybody to understand, when you sell your jobs, at the right price, that you're making the money that you deserve and that your team deserves.
Yep.
And then it's also protecting, yourself against any issues, challenges. Like if something comes up, like, at the end of the day, like we need the contractors to step up and do what's right, honor their word, and take care of those situations. Hopefully you've got smart contracts in place and you protected yourself against the unforeseen circumstances and can leverage change orders and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, I think there's a tremendous opportunity, for you and I specifically to help elevate this industry.
You're motivating me.
Oh man.
I feel like I'm going to do more. He also wanted us to break, Nolan, he wanted us to break the fourth wall. What he's talking about is come to the RISE conference, Ann Arbor, Michigan, August 5th and 6th, 2025. You'll love it. Now you need to break the fourth wall and talk about JobTread.
Come to the JobTread Connect conference. It's January 14th to the 16th. We are so excited. I think this will be was this our fourth one that we'll have done? Yeah, our fourth annual conference. So
Is it going to be bigger and badder than last year?
oh man,
It was pretty big and bad last
it
year.
was awesome. We capped out at 1,000 people last year. We've essentially reconfigured how we can do the ballroom and kind of the different breakout rooms. So I think we should be able to get somewhere between 1,250 and 1,300.
I don't like my extended family and like my parents and my in-laws and stuff. They know I'm in business. They pay attention to it. They're very supportive. But when I spoke last year at JobTread Connect and I took a picture of the room, I think they were like, "Whoa," because I'd never spoken in front of that many people.
Yeah.
And to your point, the community, I like to take a lot of pride in Remodelers community, my Facebook group, and kind of what's been built there. And I think we're on parallel tracks there, where the tone, the culture, the mood, the servant help, of course, yeah, just call me, I'll help you with that. Oh, you want that template? Like you guys have that same thing going in your Facebook group, and that wasn't possible 10 years ago. That wasn't possible 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Running a remodeling business in 2025 is you've got more resources and more ease of software integration, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And clients are calling and estimates need to happen and production needs to happen. Keep slowing it down, keep simplifying it, tackle one thing at a time, and you'll continue to improve and improve.
Absolutely. I think just to touch on the Facebook community, and I always, I always feel a little like silly promoting like Facebook, and it's like, I feel like I kind of grew up with that in like high school and college, and it was like it was the thing then, and sort of a lot of people kind of grow out of it, but like I feel like that's been like one of the secret sauces of JobTread, and the thing that I did not foresee was this like community coming together, and I see so many resemblances, with your remodelers community, like these groups of people that are like literally like helping each other. Like it's strangers that really don't know each other, but they have this common theme of why they're in this group. Like seeing people, literally bend over backwards, go out of their way, probably spend way more time than they should responding and helping people to learn.
Yep.
Like I think that there's just something magical about that. And the more that we can continue to foster that, there's a lot of groups out there I've been in where it very quickly kind of can turn negative.
Yes.
You get a bunch of keyboard warriors, things like that. Like, the thing that I love about both of our groups is just like how supportive and positive and encouraging, they are. And,
Yeah.
I think that's how people keep growing.
Nolan, have you ever sat across the table and stared at this man for 30 minutes? It's intense. It's intense, Nolan.
I'm intense? What do you mean?
Yes, you're intense. Yes, you're intense. You're full throttle all the time, and I love it. But the thing that I'm feeling from just your passion about this is like the one of the big themes you have there, and it's good for everybody listening to this to hear it, is are you, like, I'll break it again. Are you as passionate about your client experience as this man is about his clients? And same thing for me. That's what's going through my mind right now is like, you know what? Yeah, the money's good. Yeah, the sales are good. I like growing a business. I like having a team. I like all those things. But just like a lot of successful businesses, when you hyper focus on the client experience and truly making it game-changing, impactful, I'll even say like life-changing to these businesses and these people, that's where the real fun is at.
Yeah.
And the more we can, and the silly thing is, the more we focus on that, the other stuff takes care of itself. Like the money will be there. I'm encouraged to just like focus more on the client experience, focus more on delivering value, serve, 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 and good things will happen. I share all of that for everybody else listening to this of like, just do well by the client, do well by your team, take care of them, set a culture where we care about each other, where we serve each other, where we support each other, and just don't tire from that. I'm fired up, Eric.
You nailed it. I mean, that was like after you left the team lunch to go to your meeting, that was like the speech I gave my team, was like thanking them for all of this and what they, it's like.
Did he serve dessert? I mean, the lunch was pretty good.
My closing speech I thought was dessert, but a little dose of motivation and appreciation, I think will go a long way with the team, right? But look, I think you're so right. It's all about figuring out like how can you help others, and when you stop focusing on your own personal growth, your own the revenue, the profits, the what's in it for me, and like you really focus on how can I help others be successful, like that will help you in turn continue to build and grow and create more and more value. I feel like success just like breeds more success.
Yeah.
And when you focus on that, it continues to kind of snowball. And I think that's why JobTread has continued to grow as quickly as we have, is, again, it's not about maximizing our revenues, our profits. I mean, we've had our $199 price point for like 3 years. I think we might be one of the only software companies in America that hasn't increased their price every year, and some of them multiple times per year, because for us, like that's not what's driving us. It's about creating a standard. It's about being, the standard for construction management and helping as many possible contractors to build a better business, showing them a better way. This is how we can, pay it forward to help others. And again, I see the same thing in what you're doing. I see that, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You literally are bending over backwards for all of your clients. Again, the revenue, that's just a byproduct of building a great product, a great service, building a great community where more and more people want to join and want to get involved. And, when you do that, good things will come.
And it's fun.
It's a whole lot more fun. Well, look, Kyle, I appreciate you coming in, spending the time with our team today. We've certainly taken away a lot of action items, a lot of good insight. It sounds like you've gotten some great insight too. I look forward to continuing to build the relationship, the partnership that we've had with you for the last several years. It's been awesome, been an honor and a pleasure. Keep up the great work, Kyle.
Likewise, all that back at you. Ditto.
Awesome, cool.
Thanks.